Her camera clicked once, just once, and Park Joonwoo's head snapped toward her. In that single frame, she'd captured something she wasn't meant to see. Two men at the service exit, watching the room like predators. His men still. His expression sharpened. And before Amara even
You look like
lowered
you're
her
enjoying
lens,
yourself.
he'd already decided she was no ordinary photographer. Hours later, after the explosion, after dragging her through smoke and broken glass, after seeing her photos catch every face he'd been hunting for months, his voice turned cold with a decision that bound their lives together in one breath. She comes with me. Don't let her out of my sight. Welcome to Afrokorean Storyline, where dark romance meets suspense, passion, and drama. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you love stories that grip your heart from the first second. Amara Nwosu stared at the rejection email on her laptop screen, her third that week. Another art gallery in Busan had passed on her photography exhibition. Too niche, they said, not commercial enough. She closed her laptop with more force than necessary, the sound echoing through her tiny studio apartment in Seoul. 6 months in Seoul, and she was still invisible. Back in Accra, she'd been someone. A respected photographer whose work documenting West African street culture had won awards. But her Ghanaian passport and her dark skin made her an anomaly here, something people stared at on the subway but never quite saw as human. Her phone buzzed. A message from her best friend Yejin, emergency, need photographer for tomorrow night, corporate event. Pay is 2 million won, please say yes. 2 million won. That would cover 2 months of rent and her mother's medication back home. What's the catch? Amara typed back. The client is difficult, very particular, but he specifically asked for someone with an international perspective. I showed him your portfolio. He loved it. Amara's gut twisted with suspicion, but desperation won. Send me the details. The next evening, she stood outside Namsan Tower's luxury event hall, her camera equipment heavy on her shoulder, wearing the one professional dress she owned. A fitted Ankara print in blues and golds that her mother had sewn before she left Ghana. She twisted her locks into an elegant crown, applied minimal makeup, and told herself she belonged here even though every instinct screamed otherwise. Inside was overwhelming, crystal, silk, champagne flowing like water. Korea's elite mingled in designer hanbok and Western couture, their laughter polished and rehearsed. Amara had photographed wealthy people before, but this felt different, colder, more transactional. Miss Nwosu, a woman in a sharp blazer, approached. I'm Director Han. Thank you for coming on short notice. Mr. Park will want to meet you before you begin. Mr. Park. The host, he's very hands-on about his events. Director Han's smile was tight. Follow me. They navigated through the crowd to a private terrace overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. A man stood at the railing, his back to them, phone pressed to his ear. He was speaking rapid Korean mixed with what sounded like Mandarin, his tone sharp with authority. When he turned, Amara's breath stuttered. Park Joonwoo was nothing like she'd expected. The file Yejin sent mentioned he was a real estate developer. But the man before her looked more like a film star, tall with the kind of angular features that photographed beautifully, his black hair styled with deliberate casualness, wearing a burgundy suit that probably cost more than her yearly income. But it was his eyes that caught her. Dark, intense, and currently fixed on her with an expression she couldn't read. Miss Nwosu. His English was flawless, barely accented. Your portfolio is extraordinary. That series on Jamestown fishermen, the light, the composition, it's like watching prayers in motion. Something in her chest loosened. He hadn't just glanced at her work, he'd actually seen it. Thank you, she managed. Not many people understand what I was trying to capture. Most people don't look beyond the surface. He moved closer and she caught his scent, something expensive and cedar-tinged. I need someone who sees deeper. Tonight is about appearances, but I want you to photograph the truth underneath. The tension, the power plays, The moments when people forget to wear their masks. That's not typical event photography. I don't want typical. His gaze held hers. Can you do it? Every professional instinct told her to decline. This wasn't what she'd been hired for. But something about the challenge, the way he was looking at her like she was an artist rather than hired help, made her nod. I can do it. His smile transformed his face. Good, shoot what you see, I trust your eye. The evening unfolded in flashes of light and shadow. Amara moved through the party invisible behind her camera, capturing moments others missed. A business deal sealed with a handshake and dead eyes. A woman's smile cracking when her husband turned away, the exhaustion beneath the glamour. Through it all, she felt Joonwoo watching her. Not creepily, not possessively, but with a focus that made her hyper-aware of every movement. During a lull, she stepped onto a balcony for air. Seoul sprawled below her, a city of light and anonymity. She'd been so lonely here, so tired of being strong. Running away already, Joonwoo's voice came from behind her. Just breathing, it's intense there. He joined her at the railing, maintaining respectful distance. You handle it better than most. I've watched you navigate that crowd like water, present but untouchable. Survival skill. You learn to be invisible when you're always the different one. Is that how you feel here, invisible? The question was too direct, too intimate for a client to ask, but his tone held genuine curiosity, not politeness. Sometimes, she admitted, Ghana is home but there's no work. Korea has opportunities but I'm. She gestured at her skin, her locks, not what they expect or want. Their loss. He said it simply like it was fact. You see the world through a lens most Koreans never develop. That's not a deficit, it's your superpower. Before she could respond, explosions shattered the night. Not fireworks. The sound was wrong, too loud, too close. Screaming erupted from inside. Glass shattered. People stampeded toward exits. Joonwoo grabbed her wrist, his grip firm. Come with me now. What's happening? No time. Trust me or stay here and die. Choose. Amara let him pull her through a service entrance, down concrete stairs, through kitchen corridors filled with panicking staff. They burst into an underground parking garage where a black SUV waited, engine running. Get in, Joonwoo commanded, shoving her toward the vehicle. I don't understand. You weren't hired to photograph an event. A different man emerged from the driver's seat, shorter, stocky, with a jagged scar across his cheek. You were bait. Park Joonwoo has enemies and they knew he'd be vulnerable around a beautiful woman. Congratulations. You almost got him killed. Ice flooded her veins. What? Joonwoo shot the other man a lethal glare. That's enough, Taesung. She deserves to know what she walked into. And I'll tell her after we're safe. Joonwoo turned to Amara, his expression softer. Please, get in the car. I'll explain everything, but we need to leave now. Against all logic, she climbed in. The SUV peeled out of the garage, tires screaming. Through the rear window, Amara watched smoke pour from Namsan Tower's upper floors. What the hell just happened? She demanded. Joonwoo ran a hand through his hair, his composure cracking. I'm not just a real estate developer. I'm an intelligence officer, NIS, Korea's National Intelligence Service. That party was a sting operation to identify North Korean operatives infiltrating Seoul's elite. You were supposed to photograph everyone there so we could run facial recognition. And someone figured it out. Someone always figures it out. His jaw tightened. But they shouldn't have targeted you. That's not how this works. You were supposed to be anonymous, protected. Bait, she repeated, tasting the word's bitterness. You used me. Yes, he met her eyes without flinching. And I'm sorry, sorrier than you'll ever know. But if you hadn't been there, if we hadn't gotten those photos before the attack, 3 moles would still be operating in the Korean government. Your work tonight, accidental or not, saved lives. While almost ending mine. Yes, no excuses. No justifications, just the truth. Taesung drove them to a safe house in Gangbuk, a modest apartment that looked nothing like the luxury Amara associated with intelligence agencies. Once inside, Joonwoo disappeared into a bedroom to make calls while Taesung stood guard, his expression unreadable. "He's not a bad person," Taesung said suddenly. "Joonwoo, he's carried the weight of this country on his shoulders since he was 25, makes him ruthless sometimes, but not cruel, never cruel. He lied to me. He lies to everyone. It's the job." Taesung's scarred face softened slightly. "But I've worked with him for 7 years. Never seen him look at anyone the way he looked at you tonight. Like you were the only real thing in that room of ghosts." Before Amara could respond, Joonwoo emerged. He changed into jeans and a black sweater, looking more human, more vulnerable. "Taesung, perimeter check. I need to speak with Miss Nwosu alone." After Taesung left, silence stretched between them. Joonwoo sat across from her, elbows on knees, the weight of the evening etched into every line of his body. "I could apologize 100 times and it wouldn't be enough," he began. "But I need you to understand, when Yejin recommended you, I looked at your work and I saw genius. Someone who captures truth, that's what I needed. Then I met you and—" He stopped, shook his head. "You weren't supposed to be real, just a tool. But you are real, brilliant and passionate, and so far above the ugliness of my world that I felt ashamed for pulling you into it." "Then why did you?" "Because I'm selfish." His eyes met hers, raw with honesty. "Because the job makes you forget there are still people in the world who create instead of destroy. And I wanted to be near you, even knowing it was wrong." Amara's anger warred with something else, something dangerous that felt like understanding. "What happens now?" "We have your camera. The photos are being analyzed. By morning we'll have identifications and you'll be free to go. I'll arrange permanent residency for you in Korea if you want it, compensation for endangering you, or a first-class ticket back to Ghana, whatever you need." "What I need," she said slowly, "is the truth, all of it. Who are you really, Park Joonwoo?" For the next 3 hours, he told her everything. His recruitment at Seoul National University. His first assignment that ended with 2 colleagues dead. The 7 years of living in shadows, pretending to be someone he wasn't, sacrificing any chance at normal human connection for a mission that never ended. His younger sister who didn't know what he really did. His parents who thought he was wasting his potential on buying buildings. "Do you regret it?" Amara asked when he finished. "The life you chose?" "Every day and not at all." He smiled sadly. "It's the worst kind of contradiction." "I understand that." She surprised herself by saying it. "When I left Ghana, my mother asked why I'd choose struggling in a foreign country over security at home. I couldn't explain that staying felt like dying slowly. Sometimes the hard path is the only one you can live with." Something shifted in his expression. Recognition, connection, hope. "You're extraordinary," he said softly. "And I have no right to say that, but it's true." Before Amara could respond, her camera caught her eye. She'd set it on the table and suddenly an idea struck. "Can I see the photos, the ones I took tonight?" Joonwoo hesitated, then nodded. He pulled out a laptop, connected her camera, and uploaded the files. Amara scrolled through them, seeing what she'd captured, power plays and fear disguised as sophistication. And there, in 3 frames, she'd accidentally photographed the bombers. 2 men by the service entrance, their expressions wrong, their body language screaming danger. "This one," she pointed, "and this, they don't belong." Joonwoo leaned close, studying the images. His shoulder brushed hers and electricity sparked between them. "You're right. How did you see this?" "Photographer's eye. People telegraph their intentions through micro-expressions, body positioning. These 2 are predators in a room of prey. Different energy entirely." He looked at her like she'd revealed magic. "Will you help us identify them? Go through the rest of the photos, flag anyone who feels wrong." "Yes, but on one condition." "Anything." "After this is over, you take me to dinner. A real dinner, not a mission. Just two people trying to figure out if this, she gestured between them, is real or just adrenaline. His smile was genuine this time, reaching his eyes. Deal. They worked through the night, Amara's artistic training identifying details Joonwoo's tactical mind missed. By dawn, they'd flagged 7 individuals. By noon, all 7 were in custody. By evening, news broke of a prevented terrorist attack, with vague mentions of intelligence cooperation. You saved lives today, Joonwoo said as they watched the news coverage. Real, tangible lives. We saved lives, she corrected. This was teamwork. He turned to her and the intensity in his gaze stole her breath. I meant what I said, about dinner, about wanting to know if this is real. And I meant what I accepted. She stepped closer, closing the distance. But I'm scared, Joonwoo. Your life is dangerous, complicated. I've spent years trying to find stability and you're chaos, he finished. I know, but maybe chaos and stability balance each other. Maybe your groundedness is what I've been missing, and maybe my world, for all its darkness, is big enough to showcase your light. That's the most poetic justification for a terrible idea I've ever heard. Is it working? She laughed despite everything, and the sound felt like release. Maybe. He cupped her face with both hands, his touch gentle despite his calloused fingers. I can't promise you safety. I can't promise you normal. But I can promise that I will never lie to you again, that I will protect you with everything I have, and that every day I get to spend learning who you are will be a day I'm grateful for. That's a big promise from someone who met me yesterday. I know what I feel. His forehead touched hers. The question is, do you? Amara closed her eyes, feeling the warmth of him, the solid reality of this moment. She thought about her mother's advice before she left. Sometimes the biggest risk is the one that makes you most alive. I feel it, she whispered, and it terrifies me. Me too. His lips brushed her softly, a question, but let's be terrified together. She answered by kissing him properly, pouring everything into it, her fear and hope and the wild improbability of finding connection in chaos. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she saw her future reflected in his eyes. Not easy, not simple, but real. 3 months later, Amara's photography exhibition opened in Itaewon. The collection documented Seoul's hidden communities, migrant workers, refugees, foreigners building lives in the margins. Joonwoo had used his connections to secure the gallery, but her work stood on its own merit. Critics called it revolutionary, necessary, a perspective Korea needs to hear. Joonwoo attended the opening in civilian clothes, his pride evident despite his attempts at professional distance. When the crowds thinned, he pulled her into a quiet corner. Your mother called me yesterday, he said. Amara's eyes widened. What? She wanted to know if my intentions toward her daughter were honorable. His smile was wry. I told her I'm an intelligence officer who works 80 hours a week in a job I can't discuss, that I've put you in danger twice already, and that I'm hopelessly in love with you despite all the logical reasons I shouldn't be. Her heart stopped. You told my mother you love me before telling me. She asked directly. I don't lie anymore, remember. He pulled a small box from his pocket. But if you want the official declaration, Amara Nwosu, you are the most extraordinary person I've ever met. You see beauty in broken things. You create light in dark places. You make me want to be better than the sum of my mistakes. I love you completely, terrifyingly, forever. Inside the box was a ring, not a diamond, but a stunning sapphire surrounded by tiny emeralds. Ghana's colors, he explained. Because your roots matter, because I'm not asking you to become Korean. I'm asking you to build something new with me, something that honors both our worlds. Tears streamed down Amara's face. You didn't have to. I did. You deserve someone who sees all of you, who celebrates where you come from while building where you're going. He took her hand. Marry me, not despite the complications, but because of them, because hard things are worth it when you're doing them together. Yes, she said through tears and laughter. Yes, you beautiful, complicated, impossible man. Yes. As he slid the ring onto her finger and pulled her into a kiss that tasted like promise, Amara thought about the journey that led here. Rejection and loneliness and fear, transformed by one dangerous night into something worth every risk. She'd come to Seoul invisible and alone. She was leaving that version of herself behind, stepping into a future where she was seen, valued, loved for exactly who she was. And that was the greatest adventure of all. 2 years later, they stood in Accra, Ghana, for their second wedding ceremony, this time surrounded by Amara's entire family. Joonwoo wore traditional kente cloth, speaking halting Twi he'd spent months learning. Their daughter, born 6 months earlier, slept in Amara's mother's arms, her features a perfect blend of both worlds. "You found your home," her mother whispered during the reception. Amara looked at Joonwoo dancing awkwardly with her cousins, his joy unguarded and real. "No, Mama, I built it." And that made all the difference. We've come to the end of our interesting African-Korean story, besties. It's my third video so far. Any further suggestions will be welcomed, and anything to make your viewing experience better. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support means a great deal to me.